Hi, my name is Donna. I'm one of the care team nurses at Peak Vista Women's Clinic here with Peak Vista. I am also a lactation consultant, so we're going to learn about understanding breastfeeding. So what we do is we encourage moms to feed what the baby wants to feed. So you feed the baby whenever the baby's showing hunger cues. You should feed your baby about 8 to 12 times in a 24-hour period. Let your baby stay on the breast as long as they like and are actively sucking and swallowing. And they may cluster feed, what I talked about before, when they're going through a growth spurt. Infant feeding cues. This is really important for you to be, when you're first having the baby, to really look at those cues. The baby will tell you when they're just kind of fussy, maybe wants a diaper change, or is a little cool or hot. But when that baby's actively alert, making smacking sounds with their lips, starts bringing their hands up to their mouth and looking for something to suck, if grandma or dad is holding the baby and that baby's turning its head towards the chest, those are all signs that that baby is ready to feed. And this is when you start preparing to get in a comfortable position, have dad bring you some water or food, and start to breastfeed your baby.
It's important to try to breastfeed baby at the earliest signs of hunger. Baby is so much more patient when they're not that starving, and you can get a much better latch. But when baby is fussy and crying, it can be a lot more difficult.
Keep your baby near you day and night so you can feed her as soon as you notice her feeding cues. These are movements and sounds she makes when she's ready to be fed. An early feeding cue is fidgeting. She's probably going to be ready for her next meal soon. Another early cue is the rooting reflex when she moves her head back and forth, looking for a breast. You might also see her make sucking motions with her tongue and mouth, or bring her hand to her mouth. As he gets hungrier, he will move his arms and legs as he becomes more agitated. Finally, a hungry baby will start to cry. It can be hard for a crying baby to latch, so try to feed your baby when you see her early feeding cues. You can also pay attention to your own body to know when it's time to feed your baby. When your breasts feel full, it's probably time to nurse.
This is a great picture of how big the baby's tummy is. And there's a video clip that you can click on to watch. Day 1, just the size of a grape. That's why that colostrum is just enough for the baby. By day 3, it's more size of a cherry tomato because you're producing more milk, so the stomach is stretching. Day 7 is strawberry, size of a strawberry. And by 1 month old, about 80 to 150 mLs. That baby's now drinking ounces. Sleepy eaters. Babies sometimes go through where they're very sleepy and very hard to wake up. The best thing you can do is offer that breast if it's been at least 3 hours since the baby has nursed. Do some skin to skin to try to wake that baby up. You can rub their hands, rub their feet, rub their head to try to get them to wake up. There's a video clip here about feeding patterns for your newborn.
Breastfeeding is based on your baby's needs. That means there is no set schedule. Just feed them when they're hungry, day or night. In the early weeks, that should be about 8 to 12 feedings in each 24-hour period, including nighttime.
My baby was like waking up every hour, so I was like, what is wrong with my baby? Maybe she's not getting enough milk. Maybe I don't have milk. I'm not producing milk. So I called my nurse and she told me that it was completely fine.
It's natural that your newborn needs to eat often in the beginning. This is because her stomach is small and designed to take in very small amounts of milk at each feeding. On day 1, her stomach is about the size of a grape. By day 3, her stomach is close to the size of a cherry tomato. On day 7, her stomach is about the size of a strawberry. And by the first month, her stomach is close to the size of a lime. As your baby's stomach grows, she'll take in more breast milk at each feeding.
Wake the baby up before feeding is very important. If you try to feed and you're sleeping, nothing goes in. So it's very important to hold them, like I said, skin to skin, stroke them. There's also another video clip for you to watch.
During the first few days, some babies sleep a lot and are not very interested in eating. If your newborn is not feeding at least 8 times in 24 hours, you'll need to wake her up to eat. Help her wake up by holding her skin to skin, changing her diaper, trying a different feeding position, or switching breasts. Remember, your milk supply depends on how often and how well your baby breastfeeds. Your baby will need to feed at least once or twice at night. If you think you might fall asleep while feeding, don't feed him on a sofa or armchair. These are unsafe environments. It's safer to bring your baby into bed with you for a feeding. Keep the area free of blankets, pillows, and sheets in case you fall asleep. After you feed your baby, return him to his separate sleeping area. It's normal for a baby to cluster feed.
Wow, she's really feeding a lot, huh?
This is when she has several feedings in a short period of time and then takes a longer break before nursing again. Cluster feedings are healthy as long as she's eating at least 8 times in 24 hours.
Last night, she was nursing frequently, and I was a little concerned that I was going to run out of milk because she just kept, eating and eating. But I did read that your body will produce enough milk, and if you just keep feeding the baby will initiate supply.
Feeding your baby more often on some days is a normal part of building a healthy milk supply. Don't worry, this frequent feeding usually lasts only a few days.
How do you know if your baby's getting enough milk? That's a really important question, and that's one of the most important questions that people ask me. It's kind of faith-based. You know you have milk, and so you have to go by other signs. You have to go by, are they pooping and peeing? Am I hearing swallowings? Are the baby's hands now relaxed, and are they falling asleep at the breast? Is the baby growing? It's important to go to your well baby checks to check that baby's weight. Are they not now longer feeding in a newborn clothes? And now are they 0 to 3 month clothes?
One of the things to listen for while baby is breastfeeding is audible swallowing. So you should hear baby swallowing lots of breast milk, and also the latch should be pain-free. So it should be very comfortable for mom. You can look for plenty of wet and dirty diapers in 24 hours, and baby can have frequent weight checks, and often that shows that baby is gaining enough weight.
Many new moms wonder if their baby is getting enough milk. One way you can tell is if you see and hear your baby sucking and swallowing milk once your mature milk comes in. You may see her ears or jaw moving.
Hungry little girl.
Also, notice how you both feel after a feeding. Your breasts should feel lighter and softer, and your baby should seem content and satisfied, not fussy or showing hunger cues. A baby who is getting enough milk should also have several periods of being awake and alert during the day. Another way you can tell if your baby is getting enough breast milk is by keeping an eye on how many wet and dirty diapers they have each day. A breastfed baby's first stools, called meconium, will be black and sticky. From day 3 to 4, her stool will change to a greenish-brown color. Then from day 5 to 6, they will be yellow with a loose, seedy texture. By day 5, a breastfed baby should have at least 6 wet diapers and 4 stools every day. It's common for breastfed babies to have a bowel movement after each feeding in the first few weeks. After this, a breastfed baby may have fewer stools. It helps to use a feeding and diaper log to track her feedings and diapers. You can use a digital log or track feedings and diapers on paper. Finally, your baby is probably getting enough milk if you feed her about 8 to 12 times every 24 hours.
We'll go ahead and weigh her before and after the feeding, and that'll tell us.
If you're concerned your baby isn't getting enough milk, have her weighed. In the first day after birth, it's normal for babies to lose a little weight. By 10 to 14 days after birth, your baby should be back to her birth weight. After that, the average baby gains about 5 to 7 ounces every week until the end of the second or third month.
So she's gaining really quickly now. It's nice if they'll gain a half an ounce to an ounce a day.
Call your baby's healthcare provider if she seems very sleepy and needs to be awakened to feed, or sleeps through the night, does not have at least 4 yellow stools per day by day 4, or 5 wet diapers per day by day 5, has a reddish-orange stain in her diaper, which is a sign of dehydration. If her stools suddenly change, she's not gaining weight. She acts hungry after feeding or has short feedings. Your breasts aren't fuller or firmer by day 5. Her skin or eyes become yellow, which is a sign of jaundice. Or she breastfeeds fewer than 8 times in 24 hours. Contact a lactation consultant or your baby's healthcare provider if you are concerned that your baby isn't getting enough to eat, and before you think about giving her formula.
Is it okay if it's sporadic, like sometimes it's 20 minutes and then other times it's like 45 minutes?
Those sound like normal
It's
time
okay.
frames for a baby to eat, yeah.
When a baby gets formula, even in small amounts, it reduces the time spent breastfeeding, which can affect your milk production. Most breastfeeding issues can be solved quickly when caught early on.